Story 1. Kindness and accountability. Is she nice to people who aren't useful to her or are powerless to hurt her, also known as the waiter test? Yes. Great sign. When she makes a mistake, does she take responsibility for it? Another great sign. These are the two traits that separate long-term relationship women from casual fling women. Do not ever entangle your life with someone who is missing either of these traits. Story 2. When we were dating, I had an interview out of state. Shortly before, like a day or two, my cat started acting weird, and we knew something was wrong. I knew the end was close, but this job could have changed my life. She stayed at my place the 2 days I had to travel for the interview. She took care of my cat like it was her own and dealt with some rough stuff. When I got back, it was time, but I knew someone willing to help me and my pet get through that. We've been married for 12 years. The job never happened due to a lowball offer, but something better came out of it. Story 3. When I started dating my wife, I was in a deep, deep depression. I was really not in a place to date, but doing it anyway for some reason. About a month or so into dating her, I felt I had to tell her. It wasn't fair to keep it from her, especially when I had to cancel dates because I just couldn't. I said, "I feel like I have to tell you that I have depression and I'm really struggling." Her response, "I know," followed by a smile and a hug. Quality woman right there. Edit. It's our 4th wedding anniversary today, and we've got a baby on the way. Story 4. First time meeting each other, not even a date yet. Opened the car door for her. While walking around to my side, I saw her reaching over to open my door. That was all it took. Story 5. Before we started dating, my girlfriend and I didn't have much time to see each other. We both had college and work jobs outside of school and homework, so whenever we had the chance, even if it was just to say hey in person, we took it. One day, she was doing a fundraising lunch in the cafeteria of our school. She told me she was there and to come say hi. I walked in. Everyone was eating and talking, and I was the only person up and walking. It was awkward. She stood up, gave me a big hug, and talked with me for a few minutes. It meant a lot because I'm pretty introverted and shy. Story 6. She is nice to people other than me. My wife is never mean to anyone, and observing that is what made me love her. We knew each other as teenagers, and even as a teenager, she was incredibly kind. Even with kids who were very unpopular, she wouldn't hesitate to strike up a friendly conversation. Story 7. The first green flag for me was when she stayed at my place for the second night. She woke up before I did and waited until I woke up. As soon as I opened my eyes, she asked if I slept okay and wanted to talk about any nightmares. I get them a lot. Then she immediately got up and brought me a glass of water. That was nearly 3 months ago, and I still haven't forgotten about it. Story 8. These are all signs of a good partner regardless of gender. But here are the first few that came to mind. When she is upset, she tells you why. She has hobbies and interests other than watching television. She likes to make solid plans with you a day or two ahead of time. This shows she respects your time and is not holding out for a better offer. She keeps phone time to a minimum when you are together. Story 9. In general, any communication about boundaries is a great sign. It shows healthy communication, maturity, and a desire to maintain the relationship. A quote I heard that always stuck with me, though I forget the exact wording, is, "Boundaries aren't an attempt to punish or hurt you. They're an attempt to preserve a relationship." Story 10. Likes you for who you are but wants to still see you improve. Current girlfriend is also in the same program and literally made me get my grades up and start working out. She still liked me for who I was, but likes me more now. She shouldn't feed your self-destructive habits, but shouldn't degrade you at all. Story 11. A big green flag for me is those small acts of genuine empathy and kindness. When a woman takes time out to be there for her friend who is struggling. When she is patient with a server having a bad day and isn't upset or put off to have to wait for something. When she wants to go out of her way for some small thing like calling in a leak at a public water station in a park. Sure, people do fake that stuff, but generally, it's a great sign that a person has a good heart and isn't the selfish or self-absorbed sort. It's also just admirable to be a community-oriented person like that. I'd rather take care of and be the voice of reason for a partner who gives too much than struggle against a partner who gives too little. Story 12. My wife was the first woman I was with who, when she found out I loved a sport, immediately got involved with no prior knowledge or interest. She just wanted to spend time with me and enjoy something I enjoy. It's the same reason I now have more interest in RuPaul's Drag Race than I ever thought I would. She just wanted to be a part of something that made me happy for the sake of making me happy. It was so simple but so important. I mean, she chose to be a fan of my team's division rival, but hey, take the wins where you get them. Story 13. I met my wife when I was down on my luck. In my 20s, a college dropout, just quit my job, living at my parents' house, surviving on $40 a week. She wasn't bothered by any of that. She helped me put together a resume, find a new job, and encouraged me to go back to school. It was a grind, but she saw potential in me that I didn't. She was there when I was at my lowest and will be there when I am on top. The great ones see you for who you are, not what you can provide. They will support you and be your friend when you need one. Story 14. My then new girlfriend flew to San Antonio, Texas with my parents for my Air Force basic training graduation. We got together very quickly right before I left, so she met my parents essentially on her own and then flew down with them and stayed with them in a hotel. Then she flew once and drove twice to visit me while I was in tech school in West Central Texas. That's some dedication, boys. Happily married 12 years this August. Story 15. So much of my dating advice comes down to studying the way her friends react to you. But in this case, one of the strongest green flags there is watching the way her girlfriend's eyes light up when you mention the possibility of dating her. Story 16. Shows genuine interest, invests in conversation, asks questions, doesn't play games, is direct and upfront, starts the conversation, knows when she did wrong and how to properly apologize. Story 17. Being happy while alone. You can't be happy with someone if you can't be happy without them. Someone who is content with their life and you're merely an addition instead of latching onto you to fill a void. My most recent ex wasn't bad in any way, but she wasn't good on her own. We broke up so she could work on that without me, picking up the slack. As she put it, I'm much happier with my current partner, though, who loves spending time with me as much as I do with her. But we then part ways to live our own lives contently with our own friends and our own hobbies. Then we share those things with one another, and if we are too busy to spend time together, then it's no big deal. We just make up for it later on. Story 18. I just started dating a girl who, whenever she feels uncomfortable because of something that occurred between us, will let me know. She explains what she feels, works with me to understand what was meant to be said, what was inferred, and we both reach a conclusion with a solution to the situation as a team. She accepts blame whenever she's guilty. I'm shocked and super happy to have found her. Story 19. They tell you when they are upset. I have been with so many people who will not say anything, then explode on me later. When someone is silent or says they are fine, I just go with it. Story 20. She does or buys things for you when it's completely unnecessary. Of all my relationships, the best one was with the person who would randomly buy me gifts, simple things like a cheap shirt, or do something for me that made life easier, like organize or set something up. It meant a lot, and in turn, I started to do that more for her. In short, selflessness. Story 21. If they respect your silence, time, and peace, a good person in general wouldn't shame you for hanging out with friends, needing to be on your own, or just wanting to be quiet when you're with them. Everybody deserves to feel comfortable with themselves or others, and these three are really good ways to prolong a relationship instead of rushing it in a few months because you get bored of each other. Story 22. With my wife, when we started dating, she accepted that I have custody of my 8-year-old and my 12-year-old. Despite what most women say, when a man has kids, it is a big issue for most. She was honest with me and told me that she was looking for a man with no kids but found that usually, they tend to be selfish. We both agreed to bring my kids around after we were dating long enough to know that we were right for each other. She has shown us nothing but respect and love. It has not been easy, but she puts in so much effort. Story 23. Willingness to grow. I tried to break it off with a girl once. She called to ask what she could have done differently, not to fix our relationship, but so that she'll know for the next time. And here we are, almost 14 years later. Story 24. When I started dating my wife, my mom said, "Look at her hands. She's no stranger to work." That was true then and still is today. No, she doesn't have lumberjack hands. I have those. But she isn't scared to mess up her nail polish or, heaven forbid, even chip one. She's a doer. I wanted a woman to stand beside me and work as hard as I do. That's what I got. And I'm damned grateful for her. Story 25. At an extended family Easter party, my girlfriend hugged my grandfather when we were leaving and told him, "I love you." I immediately thought, this is the woman I'm going to marry. I proposed 5 months later. We've been married since July 1998. Story 26. Having a proper purpose in life other than social media, watching television, and so on. Being independent and understanding how to be an adult, such as knowing what to prioritize. Somebody who takes responsibility for their actions in life instead of constantly blaming external factors. Somebody who is motivated to get things done and isn't mean about it. Works to build a life together with you instead of just planning extravagant things and expecting them to happen. Story 27. The green flag, in my opinion, does not necessarily apply to gender but to people. Being empathetic, reciprocating genuine interest in you and your opinions, even if they don't share them. Having emotional maturity, and being a good listener are always green flags. Those should be, in my opinion, the standards when starting a relationship. Aside from that, you may look for something that applies specifically to you and your needs. For example, I looked for honesty, independence, and a sense of humor. Story 28. Being a team player. Long story short, my girlfriend and I went on our first family vacation trip and met up with some family. One of my family friends mistakenly believed that the charger my girlfriend was using was hers, so she was insistent on taking her charger back. After 20 minutes of searching for my family friend's charger, my girlfriend just gave her own charger and told her she found it so we could just move forward with the trip. I told my girlfriend I loved her after that. Story 29. Good company for road trips. I've been on road trips with other gals where we argued because we ran out of stuff to talk about. My current wife, today's our anniversary actually, and I genuinely love talking to each other. Story 30. If she ever absent-mindedly plays with your hair or shows some other affectionate act, it is generally a good indication she's pretty into you and comfortable. Story 31. She makes me want to be a better man. Not by nagging me about my flaws or shortcomings, just by being herself. This is a passive trait. Just being around her makes me try a little harder or do a little better at whatever I'm doing. She makes me want to be totally honest and upfront with her about everything. She makes me want to treat everyone around me just a little bit better. All this is done without her saying or doing anything. Simply being herself and in my life makes me want to be better. Story 32. The way she argues with other people or treats people she doesn't like. If she is rational and calm and deals with things like an adult, chances are she will treat you that way too when you fight. If she is a major nuisance to other people, imagine how she will treat you in the divorce. Story 33. 1. Treating service staff with kindness. Sense of humor is similar. My wife and I are huge Monty Python fans. Talks about friends and acquaintances positively in public. This doesn't mean she doesn't have complaints, but she communicates them in private. Story 34. My girlfriend's test is camping or backpacking. If a girl can deal with being tired and exhausted from hiking all day in the sun and elements, eating camp food and sleeping on the ground, and they are still fun to be around, they're probably a pretty good person. People, of course, are more multifaceted than this, but I think it's generally a good indicator. Story 35. Honesty. I kid you not, it seems weird, but if she is honest with you to the point of telling you even small things that you wouldn't think matter, she is a keeper. The reason being, it's hard being in a relationship where you question the other person's honesty, but it's easy to be honest and even look past a lot of things that would usually annoy you if she is honest. I have to put a warning to it. The honesty I mean isn't being blunt, but I mean she can open up, admit her wrongs, and even confess any of her weaknesses by her own choice. It's hard to find in anyone, But if you have it and she's nice, do not let her go. Story 36. My husband always tells me that he knew I was a good one because of how much I wanted to care for him and help him. He tells me that I always showed love in all my actions, and he hadn't ever seen or felt that before, so that's when he knew. Story 37. Noticing that during a group conversation you get interrupted by someone else, and when that person finishes talking, she or he redirects the conversation back to you with, "So, what were you saying about?" Story 38. You can have a conversation and you don't want it to stop. You aren't just interested in each other for sex. You share hobbies. You brag about each other to your friends. Story 39. When she is genuinely considerate of you, that eye contact and that certain look they give when they are truly into you can't really be explained. She doesn't care where or when. She just wants to hang out with you and shows interest in your hobbies. Please, men, do for them as they do for you. If you put your partner first, your needs and wants will always be fulfilled, provided your partner does the same. There are two people in any type of relationship. It's a two-way street, not just one way.